One of my top 3 big rules for keeping your weight off is that you cannot have it in your house, ever. If you do, your willpower will weaken at some point and you'll start sneaking it here and there. I do the same thing. I used to eat a pound of peanut M&Ms every day. So I don't keep them in the house because I get triggered too. Identifying your triggers is your first line of defense. I understand it would be easier to ignore them or pretend they're not true triggers, but by living that way, you give power to them and remain controlled by them. Look, we all get triggered. I don't believe in shame. There's no shame in it, but in order to work through them and be truly free, you have to identify your triggers. We have a course called What's Eating You, and it is a digital course that helps you identify your triggers. I don't care how you identify them. I just want you to know what they are. You need to know what triggers you so that you can understand that if that happens, you could potentially turn towards food. You have the potential to turn towards food, to eat the wrong foods, or to overeat in order to cope with that stress. So, identifying your triggers is the first line of defense. Knowing what they are and knowing what causes you to turn towards food as a way to cope is the first job here. I used to get triggered when I lived in New York City by stress. I was under a massive amount of stress and I ate an entire pound of peanut M&Ms every single day. I would stop at the Rite Aid on my way home from work and I would buy them. So when I got counseling for this, I figured out that I needed to take a different route home so that I didn't walk by the Rite Aid that sold me the peanut M&Ms. And I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking, well, Cristy, you can buy them anywhere. Yeah, you're right. But for some reason, when I walked by this specific Rite Aid, I would buy the peanut M&Ms. And when I didn't walk by it, I didn't buy them. So it's what worked for me. But I found that out through counseling. I found that out through finding things about me and realizing that I was under a tremendous amount of stress. And the way that I would cope with my stress and the way that I would drown out that pain and anguish and anxiety was to stuff myself, gorge myself with sugar, to abuse sugar. And when I felt like I was so full and I was in pain and I was numb, that's when I would be able to, that's how I would be able to cope. The way you deal with it, you've got to have a plan in place to deal with this trigger. One thing I have to do when I'm triggered is I have to get out of the house. I actually have to leave the house. So some examples that trigger me would be like finances or a very upset client, work-related items, maybe my relationship with Miles, if we have a fight or something. That will trigger me to want to turn to food to cope and to binge eat. I feel it coming on. I know what my triggers are. So if I feel it coming on, immediately I take Annabelle and we leave the house. We go for a walk, even around the block, even if it's 5 minutes. It's stopping that cycle. Stopping it before it gets any further is huge. That's how you deal with this. You get out of the situation so that you can't go any further. And that's what I do. You're gonna wanna plan ahead if you know that you will be in a situation that will trigger you. If I know I'm having a meeting with my accountant and bookkeeper, and I know we're gonna be talking about taxes or some massive amount of money or something stressful, I make sure that I eat before I go. I make sure that I'm not around anything that I can eat. I make sure that I have plenty of water on board. I just make sure that I plan ahead. Maybe your mother-in-law triggers you. Maybe you don't have a really great relationship with her. Well, if your house is a safe place and doesn't have trigger foods in it, then have your mother-in-law come over to your house. That way you're not out somewhere where you could buy something bad for you. Be in a situation that you can control. Be in a situation that you know what's around you and that you have control over the foods and the things around you. If your boss triggers you, if your boss brings you stress, okay, you're gonna wanna make sure that you plan ahead. Stay out of the break room. Stay out of the break room if you know you have a meeting with your boss. Understand that you cannot go in there because you know there's junk food in that break room. Stuff like that. Plan ahead. Know what the situation is going to be like and get a plan B so that you don't binge eat or that you don't slip back into your old habits. Hiding from your triggers, feeling ashamed, or refusing to deal with them has gotten you where you are today. If you're ready to do the work necessary to change your mindset and your weight, I want to help you. Click the link below to download my Mindset Manifesto and Code Red Lifestyle Guide today. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be informed when I release another video. But I want to hear from you. Comment below and let me know what your triggers are. I know you got to be brave and you got to kind of put yourself out there, but I want to hear what you think, and I want to hear what your triggers are. So comment below and I'll see you on the next video.